Hi peoples, my name is Tiago Silvestre, the host of this channel, and today I want to show you the top 10 cards for Commander coming from Innistrad Midnight Hunt. So let's start the list. So a quick note before I start to show you the cards is that this list is not on any order, it's just the top 10 best cards for Commander. So let's start the list. Vanquish the Horde. So this card, it's a sorcery for 8 mana that destroys all creatures, but it costs 1 less generic mana for each creature on the battlefield. So you know that probably there will be 6 creatures on the battlefield almost of the time. So if everybody has 2 creatures, there exists 8 creatures, so you will almost always pay 2 white mana for this card. So this will be the best board wipe that you can have. So the next card is Lear, Disciplined of the Drowned. It's a 5 mana, 3/4 creature, human wizard, and says that spells can't be countered. So any of your spells or your opponents, you will not be able to counter any of your opponent's spells. And each instant and sorcery card in your graveyard have flashback. And the flashback is the mana value of the card. So this is a powerful effect. It's not the first card that has this effect. You know that you will be able to play again your instants and sorceries from your graveyard at the same cost that you paid. So this effect, it's very powerful. This also, it's a legendary creature. It can be your commander. You can build a commander deck around this card. So very nice. The next card is blue 2. For 2 mana, it's a 2/1 creature with flash and flying. You can pay the same cost as this creature any number of times, and for that many times you will put a +1/+1 counter on this card, and you will choose that many creature and or enchantments, and you will phase out them. For example, at the instant speed, if your opponent is attacking you with a big creature, you can play this for 4 mana and you phased out that creature. Or if it's attacking you with 2 creatures, you can phase out 1 creature and block with this creature the other creature. The more mana you have, the more you can abuse with this card. The next card can be your commander too. It's Giza, Glorious Resurrector. It says that if a creature an opponent controls will die, exile it instead. At the beginning of your keep, you put all creature cards exiled with Giza onto the battlefield under your control. The weaker point is that creature cards have decayed. So decayed means that creatures can't block, and when you attack with those creatures, you will have to sacrifice it at the end of combat. But despite that the creatures have decayed, this card is powerful because you will steal your opponent's creatures. They will not be able to have them in their graveyard to do shenanigans, so you can use those creatures for attack if they are big creatures or creatures with nice attacking skills like evasion or something else. But if they have ETBs or death triggers, or even if they have activate abilities, you can use that. So this creature, this legendary creature, because this can be your commander, you can build a deck around this, or you can put in another deck with other commander. But this effect, despite the creatures have decayed, this effect of Giza, it's very very powerful. Now we have a creature for the aristocrat players, the Meat Hook Massacre. It costs X and 2 black for a legendary enchantment that says that when enters the battlefield, each creature gets -X until the end of turn. And whenever a creature you control dies, each opponent loses 1 life. And whenever a creature an opponent controls dies, you gain 1 life. So this is another effect of the aristocrats. Almost every creature on aristocrats decks don't have 3 toughness or more, so with 5 mana you will kill basically all your creatures and you will deal 1 damage per creature that you have. So to sum that up with another effect of this, you can win with this card. The life gain, it's nice, but you don't have the control unless you want to board wipe and pay a lot of mana, and you can also win life too. Now for the green players, you have Augur of Anthem, 3 mana, a 2/3 creature that you can look at the top card of your library anytime, and you can play lands from top of your library. And if you have 3 creatures with different powers, that's what means Coven, you may cast also creature spells off top of your library. So if your deck it's lands and creatures and you don't have too many other type of spells, and you can have 3 creatures with different powers that in green should not be very difficult, you can play with the top card of your library unless you have too many lands. You can end up with a situation that you, for the turn, you only play the spells from the top of your library, and you keep your hand with the same number of cards, and you didn't touch your cards from your hand. You just play the top card of your library. And if you can do that, that's like drawing that number of cards. It's very powerful. You should put this card on your green deck right now. Another green card, and this card it's interesting, can be your commander too. It's for 4 mana, a 3/4 human warlock. It's called Sarit, the Viper Fang, and it says that other tapped creatures you control have Death Touch, and other untapped creatures you control have Hexproof. And it has more. You can pay 1 and tap it, and untap another target creature or land you control. So let's start by the last ability. So if you have Gaia's Cradle on the battlefield, you can double it. Right away you can see this card being powerful. Now, getting back to the first abilities, you can have nice creatures with nice abilities, Normally you won't attack with them, and they will have hexproof. And in the other hand, you have some creatures that you want to attack, and they will have death touch. And you can do more. If you find a way to tap your creatures after you block with them, that will be devastating for your opponent. Imagine that they attack with 3 creatures and you have 3 1/1s. You block each one and you find a way to tap your creature. You kill all of them. So this card have potential. It's your job to find some ways to make this card tricky. So very nice card, very nice commander. Another green card, because green doesn't have any good cards. Just kidding. Unnatural Growth, 5 mana for enchantment that says that on the beginning of your combat, double the power and toughness of each creature you control until the end of turn. Imagine that you play the Avenger of Zendikar and you make a bunch of lands and you make some landfalls, and then when you are ready to attack you play this card before the combat. You will devastate your opponent. Well, the next card is multicolor. It's white and black and have a very nice ability. So it's called Laiza, Forgotten Archangel. It's a legendary creature, angel, a 4/5 with flying and lifelink, and it says that whenever another non-token creature you control dies, you return that card to its owner's hand at the end of turn. And it also says that a creature that an opponent controls would die, exile it instead. The good part of this card is that when your creatures die, you will get back to your hand at the end of turn that creatures, so you can play it again. If you have creatures with nice ETBs, you can play it every turn. If you have a sack outlet, let's just say that you have on the battlefield Laiza and Vicious here. You have in your hand Chupacabra, so you play the Chupacabra, you destroy a creature, you sack the Chupacabra, you scry 1, and on the end of your turn, Chupacabra goes to your hand. On the next turn, you play Chupacabra. You know what I mean. Every turn you will kill a creature and you can scry 1. That's an example of the powerful of this legendary creature, Laiza. Well, and this is the last one. It's also a legendary creature for 3 mana, a 1/2 Vadric Astral Archmage. And if it's not day or nor night, it will become day when you play this card. And instants and sorcery spells cost X, where X is this creature power. And when it becomes night or becomes day, you will put +1/+1 counter on this card. And this card can be your commander, and you can build a really powerful commander around this card, because there are too many spells, red spells, that can pump this guy, or equipments or auras that can pump this guy, and spells that cost, for example, 4 mana will cost you 1 mana. You can play weaker counter spells because it will cost you like 1 mana. And you can play like really big spells, for example Expropriate, and you will pay like 2 mana, for example, depending the power of this Vadric. If you want to build a commander deck around this card, just have pump spells big instant or sorcery spells, and you will pay very little, like 1 or 2 mana for that spells. You just play some more draw spells to cast more spells, and you go off with this card. So guys, that's the list. Give me a like if you like this video, subscribe please to the channel, and I have many more videos to come, and see you on the next video. Bye!